So in an effort to find a replacement for the EFS 700 milliamps that aren't being produced anymore, that's why I'm doing all this testing, because I know these work and work well. Let's see. The MXJOs, I know I gave them a bad rap, but they do work and they perform about identically to the EFS 700 milliamps as far as I've gone with them. I haven't done a whole lot of testing, just simply because this top portion on the positive terminal is just it's too wide for the gun and they get stuck, which puts you in a not really safe scenario. You could hog out your battery compartment to use those, but I'm not going to do that. And I need to do some more testing with the EFS 800 milliamp batteries, because what I found with these, I was shooting it in my backyard with these batteries, trying to test them out, and I'd get like bursts of 60 and then 50 and 30. Well, what I found out the other day, when I was testing one of these birds, is that it was doing the same thing with the good old reliable EFS 700 milliamp batteries, and no matter what I did, I just couldn't get it to work right on 4 milliseconds. I think that what the problem was it just needed some break-in time with the new auger in it. So what I did was I bumped it up from 4 milliseconds to 5 milliseconds on the pulse width, and it ran like a sewing machine. So I haven't given up on these batteries completely, but I'm not going to be testing those today. The ones I'm going to be testing today were sent to me from Born Free. These are Windfire IMR 14500 3.7 volt 600 milliamp high drain rechargeable battery, continuous maximum discharge, current 5 amps. Now, I did read somewhere that these could discharge a maximum of 10 amps in pulse. It's difficult to determine the amount of amperage consumption in the Superbird setup, in part because it's a pulsating system. So you have the motor running and the solenoid firing, so I really don't know how to test the amperage. That's why I'm going about these batteries, just seeing what works and what doesn't. Okay, this is the Superbird that I still have available. This is the first time testing it, so anything can happen. And we're also testing it with the Windfire IMR 600 milliamp batteries. And I failed to mention that this gun also does come with the piercing device and the fake suppressor. So let's get a voltage right now. 24.66, I'll buy that. And this is a 1000 psi bottle. I like to test with it because you get a lot more shots than with 1600 psi. So we're going to start out full auto 4000 with a pulse of 4. I'd say that one's good to go. I'm going to go back in the magazine and do a little more fine tuning on it. It felt a little rough, But other than that, yeah, she's good. And those batteries, let's get a voltage on them. .57, so that looks really good. Tell you what, when I bumped it up to 5 milliseconds the other day, it did run a lot smoother, so let's run another mag through her on 5 milliseconds. That didn't seem any bit smoother, but a lot of times, just about every time, it's happened one time that I've done the magazine and it came out just perfectly. So all that I need to do is just go in there and tune the clutch a little bit, and this one will be ready to fly. So let's see where we are now. So these are very positive results, and the good thing about these batteries, hold on, 23.68, is that they're almost half as expensive as the eFest IMR 700s that we can't get anymore. Well, I don't think it was the clutch, actually. If the solenoid isn't adjusted just right, what it can do, I don't know how well you guys can see in there, but let me get something to point with. If it's not adjusted just right, it will actually hit on your valve seat every few strikes, and it could be as bad as pin, seat, pin, seat, pin, seat, and it'll feel rough. You can feel it when it hits the valve seat in the handle. So it looks like all I'm going to have to do is loosen up my set screw here, and you actually can wiggle these things around. What I like to do is put a little block of wood. They usually want to hit high, so what I'll normally do is put a block of wood under there with that loose, and I've got my distance right in there, and then I'll lock it down. Okay, now I've got it striking directly on the pin, so we shouldn't have any more problems. Let's put this thing back together and run another mag through it. Okay, let's see if we can get a better count this time. It took me a long time to figure out that one. Yeah. We'll go back down to 4. Okay, yeah, that was a lot better. I'm still going to have to go back in there and do that again, but these batteries they're really chugging right along. I'm very happy. Thanks, Born Free. Okay, ran out of air on that last shot, and I filled my bottle back up. I just checked my voltage. We're at 23.49. And I adjusted the solenoid again. So let's see if we're running any smoother. We are not. Alright, let's give this a try. This is actually pretty typical whenever I build one of these 4K guns. You just have to have everything adjusted just right to get it to really work flawlessly. Okay, and another clutch adjustment. Actually, that time I forgot to put my zip ties back on here, and I think it might have been running rough because I didn't have them on there, and it may have been wanting to mushroom. You see it a little bit wider in there where you can see the BBs. So I'm going to strap some of those on. I'll be right back. Brings me to the point. I started off with 3,000 psi in this bottle. It's a 90-4500. We went through that and filled it all the way up to 4,500 psi again. Emptied that, and now I filled it back up to 4,500 psi. So this kind of testing, it takes a lot of air. So keep that in mind if you want to do the 4K kit, and I don't mind helping you out with it, but the learning curve is still going to be pretty steep because I know what to listen for, look for. I just do. So we've got the zip ties on there, and we're going to see how we're running. Oh, by the way, I just tested the batteries. They're at 23.69, so they're doing great. Like I said, they like air. This regulator's been acting stupid on me. A slight leak, oh well. Bump it up to 5 milliseconds. It feels like it's running there. Well, it feels a lot better, but the counter says differently, so it's back in there. Well, I found the problem. I had the wrong motor in it. This one is the one for the 2K mod, and this one is the one for the 4K mod. That's more like it. Alright, this one's good to go.